Hello, everyone. Welcome join today's webinar. I believe all of you are very interested in GoodWe Zero Export solution for SELCO application. Today, we invited GoodWe Technical Sales Manager Xiao Chun to explain this function to us. Let's welcome him.
Thank you, Candice. Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us, spending your time in this lovely Friday evening to join us and to understand the zero export solution from GoodWe. That would be applicable for the SELCO, or we normally call it self-consumption in Malaysia. So I will start off with a brief introduction of our company, and then I will concentrate more on our zero export solution. So today's webinar is more technical compared to our past webinar. So, and then we will end with a Q&A session. And also at the end of the day, we will have a lucky draw session that is conducted by our colleagues in HQ. So please make sure that you stay to the end of our webinar and become the lucky winner. So without further ado, I will start off our webinar today. Thank you. So GoodWe has been focused on the inverter manufacturing for the past 11 years. So these are a few global partners that we are working closely with globally. Kranish from Spain, One Stop Warehouse from Australia, Marubeni from Australia, Tata Power Solar from India, and so on. And our more prominent PV project owners, we are proud to say that are Siemens, include Siemens, IKEA, Bosch, Toyota, Coca-Cola, and so on. Yeah. And these are a few awards that we have accumulated over the years. From 2017 to 2021, we are voted the EOPD top brand for more than 5 consecutive years. This year alone, we won in 6 countries: Australia, Holland, Spain, Pakistan, and South Africa. And in terms of product quality, we are proud to claim that we are the sole inverter brand to have won the award for 6 consecutive years from TUV Ryland. And yeah, and we are also the global #1 storage inverter supplier by Wood Mackenzie in 2019. So these are some of our market shares in the world. So we are especially very strong in China rooftop, India rooftop, Australia rooftop as well, and in Czech, Spain, and Turkey. Yeah, these are some of our market shares in the global market. Yeah. And our service, GoodWe believes strongly in pre-sale service and after-sale service. So pre-sale service, we will be regularly conducting with to our customers webinars like what we are doing today, as well as workshop. We will conduct a lot of workshops to update you on the latest technology innovations and product from GoodWe. And in terms of after-sale service, we are committed to work together with our local partners and to provide 48 hours on-site support. Yeah. So these are our product portfolio. We have a wide range of products extending from residential 700 watt up to 15 kilowatt, commercial and industrial solutions from 17 kilowatt up to 136 kilowatt for 500 volt AC, and 120 kilowatt for 400 volt AC, and also utility scale solutions. So yeah, GoodWe is actually also providing utility scale solution, which is up to 250 kilowatt string solutions, and also the MV compact station. Besides that, we are also very strongly represented in the hybrid storage solution and the BESS solution. So you can see that besides having hybrid storage inverters, we do manufacture lithium batteries also that is actually compatible to our hybrid storage inverter. So yeah, so that is a brief introduction of our company, and I would go straight into our main topic today, the power limit solutions. So basically, when we talk about power limit solutions for on-grid inverter, we must make sure that there is 2 concepts. So one would be to limit the output power of the inverter, and the other one would be the limit the export power to the grid. So when as far as you all knows very well, SELCO self-consumption means that we want to limit the export power to the grid and not really limit the power output of the inverter. However, today I will show you the complete solutions of GoodWe. We have both solutions and it is actually applicable on site. Yeah. So I will start off with the power limit output of the inverters. So basically what you do is you do the settings on the LCD screen, or for inverters that without the LCD screen, you can always go to our SolarGo app or PV Master apps to set the output power limit. So in this case, basically what you do is when you set the power limit settings, it will directly limit the power output of the inverters. So no additional device, no smart meter is required to install on the point of interconnections. So the next one is what we are more concerned about in our SELCO application, self-consumption applications. So that is to export the limit power to the grid. So for example, taking the example of single phase system. So when we set the power limit value of 0%, and when we have a load of 2 kilowatts, so it actually only limit the power export to the grid at 0 watt. While at the same time, the inverter is continue to generate or to have a AC output of 2 kilowatt to support the load. The main idea here is to reduce or minimize the consumption for the inverter so that the customer can enjoy the savings from the solar generations. So at the same time, if we set at our apps or our LCD screen for 20%, so it will take into account the output 20% of the nominal output of the inverters, which is in this context would be the 5 kilowatt. That is actually the 20% would be 1 kilowatt. So they will export 1 kilowatt to the grid, while at the same time, it will provide the total local consumption of 2 kilowatts. So the export power of the inverter at this period of time will be 3 kilowatt. So that is actually how our export power limit works. So for this to work, we need to install a smart meter at this point. I will come back to here in details later on. So yeah, this would be the single phase system. And the next, I will come back to 3-phase system. So a particular special difference between 3-phase system and 1-phase system, as we all know, especially in commercial and industrial, it is very often or common that we have a unbalanced load, unbalanced local load. So when we talk about export power limit, when we put a 3-phase smart meter here, so what our system will do is to do a net zero over here. So basically when we have a, as we all know, all our grid connected inverter have a symmetrical output. So it cannot really put an unbalanced load. So when we have an unbalanced load over here and we want to achieve zero export on the grid side, then we need to have a net zero exporting. And that is what our system will do. So basically, because of the unbalanced load that we have on site, it will still export some power into one of the phases and consume power from the other phases. But at the end of the day, it will net off zero. So same thing happens when we set the value not to 0%, or instead we are setting up about 900 kilowatts. Then because due to the unbalanced load on site, then we will have a unbalanced output into the grid as well, but it will total up 900 kilowatt. So that is what our system will be doing. So this is also the same thing here, yeah, for unbalanced load. Okay. Okay, now we will go to the schematic of the power limit. So basically, there is always a lot of questions from our clients that where should I install my CTs? how do I make sure that the power limit solutions works? So basically, if we look at this schematics, we have the grid here, we have the local load from the MSP here. So our CT would be in between the house meter as well as the isolator and the local load. This is because that it is important that we want the inverter to output the power that can still feed the local load. If we put the CT somewhere here before the load, that means the inverter will see that, okay, I shouldn't be exporting any power, 0%, then it will be output 0% because there is no load in between to consume any power that is generated by the inverter. So the logic, the inverter is just following the algorithm of what we have said, that it will not export any power beyond the smart meter. So it's important that we find a suitable place to install the smart meter or the CTs to make sure that besides limiting the power export into the grid, we can still enjoy the savings by the grid by feeding into the local load. So this is the overview of the power limiting solutions that we have. So we have in total 3 solutions. So for the single phase inverter, we propose GN1000. It is a little smart meter with some CTs that can measure up to 120 amps maximum. And of course, for single unit of 3-phase inverter, we can always use the GM3000 or GM3000C for the for larger inverter that have output current of more than 120 amps. And last but not least, for parallel connection of multiple inverters, that is actually quite common in our C&I projects, we will need the SEC1000. So the SEC1000 is more suitable for multiple 3-phase inverter, and GM1000 for single-phase inverter, single unit. GM3000 would be 3-phase single unit. So for single unit inverter installation, we can use the smart meter, while for multiple installation of inverters, we must go back to this SEC1000. That is our smart energy controller box. So like I mentioned earlier, for the settings of the power limit, besides using the LCD screen, we can also do the settings via our apps, the SolarGo apps or the PV Master. So basically, you can go into our apps, connect it to the hotspot of the inverter, and under the advanced setting, you can find the power limit setting. So just activate the export power limit, and then here you are able to input what is the percentage of the nominal value that you would like to set. So for external CT ratio, for example, for the SEC1000, where you will use the main bus bar of the CT, you can also input the CT ratio here in our apps. And our algorithm will then calculate based on the CT ratio. So this is how our smart meter looks like, or GM1000 or GM3000 looks like the package. So it includes one smart meter, one small screwdriver that allows you to do all the connection. The CT is pre-wired, as you see, for single phase 120 amp and 3-phase up to 120 amp. And of course, also one manual and one RS485 to RJ45 cable conversion. So this one, if you want to use a RJ45 connection, you can use it. If not, you just remove it from our smart meter and use the normal 2-wire AB point to connect into our RS485 port. That is also possible. So this is the overview of our inverter. Our smart meter. So it is, as you can see, it's a DIN rail mounting. So it can easily put into your MSB, MCCB box. And yeah, like I said, we have 2 pins, one for the RS4, 2 pins for the connection, RS485A and RS485B. And then the port 3 to port 8 would be for all the cities, the 3-phase cities maximum. And it is also important to look at this indication of our light indication. So this is the power. So if you connect your connection of the grid voltage correctly, the power should be lighting. And also number 2 is the LED status to show that whether we are consuming from the grid or exporting into the grid. So this is actually a very important indications for whether we have fixed our cities in the correct direction. So if your cities is in the wrong directions, the logic would be reversed. So it is a very good indication to see whether we have fixed the city in the correct directions. So if it's not according to what we thought, it's better to recheck the direction of the cities. So L would be to the grid and K would be to the load, if I'm not, yeah. And the third one is also indication of the communication between the smart meter and the inverters. So this indicator light is also very important to make sure that our setup is correct. So if all the setup is correct, then the LED indicator of this light will be blinking. So if the communication is everything is okay between the smart meter and the inverter, then this LED should be blinking. When the LED is not blinking, that means there is no communication between smart meter and the inverter. And actually, this is wrong, because that would mean that there is no communication, there is no feedback to the inverter, and the inverter would not be able to fulfill the power export functions. And of course, this is the reset button. So we can, if something's go wrong, we can press it and then try to reset everything, and all settings will go back to the original settings. So like I mentioned, it's a DIN rail mounting. So it's easy and it's a pretty common DIN rail mounting, which is also well described in our user manual. And our smart meter is IP20, and the operating temperature range is around -20 to 60 degrees. So please take note of this. It's not suitable for outdoor installations. You need to have a IP65 enclosures if you would want to install outdoor. So like I mentioned earlier, 3 LED status that you need to be aware of. The power status to make sure that the power line is connected, that the smart meter is working, is power up. The other one would be the indicator for whether we are consuming from the grid, we are buying power from the grid, or exporting into the grid. So that would be an indicator of that, and also indicator of whether your city direction is correctly installed. And the third one would be the indicator for the communication with the inverters. So if it's blinking, everything is fine. If it's not, please check the cable between the inverter and the smart meter, whether the continuity as well as the connection is correct. So make sure that all 3 lights must have the right status, and then you are assured that the export function is functioning well. So these are the schematic diagram once again, like I mentioned earlier, schematic diagram once again for single phase and 3-phase. So we have a grid here, we have the TMB meter here, we have the inverter and the injection point just before the load. We have the local load. And like I mentioned earlier, the smart meter should be installed in between our TMB meter and the local load. So the communication via RS485 would need to be wired with our inverters, and just make sure that your city is in the correct directions. The L would be facing the grid and the K would be facing the load. So same things goes for the 3-phase inverter, except that we will be having 3 cities instead of 1 cities. So the direction of the cities is also the same. So besides doing the settings on our apps, it is also possible to do settings on the LCD screen with for inverters with screen. We have both options, inverter with screen and inverter without screen. So if with screen, you can always use the button to go into the settings and then try to choose the power limit, turn it on. So originally it would be by default limit off, and the rated would be 100%. So you could always turn it on and then set the rating of the nominal that you would like to export. So for our case would be 0% most of the time. Yeah. And also please take notes that for the same series of the inverter, we do have different terminals of connection port for the power sections. So please kindly refer to our user manual for a particular model. You can always see the model and then refer to the smart meter. You need to connect the smart meter to the port that will be used smart meter, and for each model that will be a different. So please kindly refer to our user manual for that. So this is again some extract from our user manual that shows how to connect the smart meter to our inverters. So how do we download our user manual? So you can always go to our GoodWe official website, which is en.goodwe.com. So go to the download sections. There will be a filter. So you need to choose the model. You choose the user manual first. So you want to download the user manual or the quick installation guide, choose it, and then choose the particular model that you would like to choose, and then the language. Then you will get a list, a pop-down list that shows here. Download it, and then you will be able to see it. Yeah. So that is all for GM1000 and GM3000. So that would be suitable for single unit installations, single unit inverter installations. Next, I would like to talk about multiple unit inverter installations. So for multiple unit inverter installations, we would need we cannot use anymore the GM1000 or GM3000. We will need the SEC1000 as mentioned earlier. So this is the overview of the SEC1000. So yeah, and we would have a data logger here. We would have a AC breaker here, so you can connect your AC input over here, and then other thing else would be pre-wired. What you need to do is connect the AC cable here, and then also the communication cable with the inverter, as well as the communication cable with the router, so that you can send the cloud you can send the data to the cloud. So this SEC1000, besides coming with zero export functions, it also can fulfill the monitoring functions of your site. So you will not need additional Wi-Fi dongle for that. Yeah. So this is again an overview of the SEC1000 that I have touched earlier. So besides the connection for the voltage, and then you have this connection for the external CTs. We have an onboard CTs, a converter, and then it is pre-wired to our smart meter and also pre-wired to our data logger here. And of course, here is the power supply board for all our equipments here. So from the bottom of the SEC1000, you can see this cable gland. So it's like I mentioned earlier, this is the input for the AC voltage line, and this would be the input for the external CTs. So you can basically purchase it from GoodWe, or it could be actually also used by all standards CTs that you get in the market with the input maximum input range of 5 watt. Yeah. And then this would be the LAN cable, and this is the RS485 connection with the inverters. So it's pretty easy. 4 steps. You need to connect four cables. So this is again the description of our cables, the maximum size for our cable gland, and so on. Yeah. And yes, this is again the schematic diagram of where we should install our SEC1000. So basically, you have the inverter. The point of interconnection is with the switch board, the injection point, the ACJB we have here, and then here is the main grid. So SEC 1000, you need to connect the communication via RS5 with the inverter. For multiple inverter, you can do daisy chain in between. So basically, this is the RS485 and also the LAN cabling with the router so that you can send your data to the cloud. So the most important part would be the AC cable and the CTs. So the CTs would need to be in between our local load and the house meter, the TMB meter. So the CTs should be measuring somewhere between the TMB meter and our local load. So please take note of that. The concept must be correct in order for us to have a effective power limit export functions. So yeah, this is basically the connection of to the AC breaker. And the connection of the CTs will be at the number three here. Yeah. So you are connecting your external CTs to the CT boards, and then they will do the conversion to our smart meters. So this is how you connect the CTs. So you will have the 2 cables from each CTs. For 3 phase, you will have in total of 6 cables. So please make sure the direction of the CTs is correctly connected, and then you can just pull the signal cable into our CT board. And this is the connection to the data logger that I mentioned earlier. So basically, the communication with the inverters need to be COM1, COM2, and COM3. It's the RS485 communication port. So for our SEC 1000, we can support up to 60 units of inverters. So for each communication port, we can support maximum up to 20 units. So if you have more than 20 units, please ensure that you use 2 ports, and more than 40 units, then use the 3 ports. And the net would be the LAN cable to the router, the communication of the LAN cable to the router. So the power supply would be provided by our SPS board, and it is pre-wired in the SEC 1000. So basically what you need is to connect the LAN cable as well as the communication port with the inverters. So this is again the schematic diagram of the inverters. So basically, like I mentioned earlier, 60 pieces of inverter can be supported with this SEC 1000. So yeah, and for each port is only 120. So in between the 20 units, you can always use the common daisy chain RS485 connections. So this is again the overview of the how we connect multiple inverters with the SEC 1000. So you have this daisy chain connection in between all the inverters, and for the first inverters, you can connect it via RS485 to the data logger. And this is the power line connection, the CT connections. So like I mentioned earlier, the CT need to be in between the load as well as the house meter. And of course, with the LAN cable to the router, we can also upload the monitoring data into the cloud. So for SEC 1000, we also have these additional functions that we can monitor your incoming consumption from the grid, because we have the voltage signal, we have the current signal. So everything can be monitored under our SAMS portal also. So please take note that the CT ratio of it doesn't matter what is the primary measurement range, but the secondary measurement range need to be at 5 amps. So the CT could be purchased from GoodWe, or you can use any standard CTs available in the market. That is okay. So as long as you fulfill these specifications, then it will work with our systems. So that is all for SEC 1000. That is our zero export solutions for multiple inverters, multiple 3-phase inverters. That is especially helpful for the C&I segment, SELCO in C&I segment. So I would like to touch briefly on our hybrid solutions also, because it is also a very important features of export limit solutions for our hybrid inverters. As we all know, we are the world #1 global manufacturer for hybrid inverters or suppliers for hybrid inverters. So I would like to briefly touch it on the hybrid. as well. So basically, our hybrid inverter also come with the package. Inside the package, it comes with the smart meter. So we believe that when customer go for hybrid inverter, what they want to do is maximize the self-consumption besides having the backup functions and so on. So we believe that is a standard features that all our customers need. So you can find the smart meters within the packaging of our hybrid inverters. So like the grid connected inverters, we need to put the CTs, install the CTs in between the smart meters as well as the load. So basically what we will do is through our apps of PV master, we can actually selectively select what is the power export that we want into the grid, and also when we want to export into the grid. So at the same time, if there is excess power from the solar, what we could do is we consume it to the load. So we try to supply it to the load, and at the same time, if there is still excess power, we can use it to charge our batteries. So at the same time, when during the evening, when our solar generation is weak, but when everyone is coming back to house and turn on the lights, the air cons and so on, the power consumption is large, then our inverter will require the batteries to discharge and try to fulfill. So by doing this, there will be no generation loss through curtailment of our solar generation. We could save it, store it in our batteries, and use it during the evening time. And by these solutions, we can then achieve more savings for our customer and really maximize the self-consumption of the system. So what is special about our hybrid storage solutions and what is different from a grid connected system is our hybrid solutions, because they are capable of providing a UPS function, a backup function during power outage. Our hybrid storage solution is also capable to output the asymmetrical output in our output grid. So basically, when we set the zero injection, it will be really a net zero in each phase. They just supply enough power to the local load. So by having these features, it means that we can maximize our solar generation, solar generated power, and not waste the power by injecting into any grid. So that is also our belief in how a proper hybrid storage solution should look like. No green generated power should be injected into the grid for minimum charges. So that is the difference between our hybrid storage solutions and our grid connected solutions. So that's all from my side today. So if you would like to look for more information about GoodWe solutions, you can always visit our website, www.goodwe.com, or you can always follow our LinkedIn and Facebook page, as well as our GoodWe Solar Academy page. We have a lot of YouTube channels that shows how our system works, how to install, and even troubleshooting tips and so on. And of course, also our GoodWe community that is handled by our GoodWe Solar Academy about more training informations. So please screenshot this page. It will be helpful for you. Yeah. So that's all from my side. So we will go into the Q&A sessions. Joining me will be our Solar Academy Solution Engineer, Spencer. So if you have any question, please feel free to type in the chat box and or Q&A box, and we will try to address it properly. Thank you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type in the chat box or Q&A. Hello, Candice, can you hear me? Hello. Any questions from the floor? Okay, now I see one question. From Bay Solar. I see one question from Bay Solar. Can the GM1000 limit export quickly enough to not trip a prepaid power meter? We have this in the South African market. So as far as I'm concerned, the GM1000 limit export will react within 100 milliseconds. So taking into account of the communication latency, I would say we will have to 1 second. So I do not know whether how fast the prepaid power meter is working, but maybe you can check with our local team in South Africa, and they may be able to answer your questions better. We have this question from Emmanuel. Do you have a data acquisition and collation facilities linked to a software that can monitor and records the saving on a monthly basis? We do have our own proprietary remote monitoring system platform, which is called the SAM Spotter. You can always try to log on to that and check it out. Just Google SAM Spotter, SEMSPORTAL, and we do have a demo account, and then you can check it on yourself. Yeah, thanks. So any questions from the floor? So we have this question from Mr. Handoko. So for single and three-phase systems, so that current distribution can run normally and maximally, what equipment should be added from GoodWe? I don't really understand the question. What do you mean by current distribution? Can you please explain more, Mr. Handoko? So we have this question from Mr. Anazek. I have a 5048 hybrid inverter. I set it to 5,000 watt power limit. When we off and on the inverter, the power limits go to 0 watt automatically. Why the inverter doesn't record the last limit amount? I think that's about this. So yeah, so the answer to Mr. Nas, I think you are right about it. So I think there is some setting problem. Please contact our service after sales service team to assist you on this. Is it possible? Hey, is it possible if so we have this question from Ryan, Mr. Ryan Cardano. Is it possible if the CT sensor is grounded, then it can really trigger the 100 amps? To answer your question, Mr. Cardano, I don't know why. I don't think we need to ground our CT sensors. So the CT sensors is just going around the coil and yeah. So I don't think we need to ground the CT sensors for that. We have this question from Mr. Castro. What is the distance limitation from smart meter to inverter? So the typical, so our smart meter is communicating with inverter via the RS485. So the typical distance for the RS485 communication is 1,000 meters. But we would actually recommend that to keep the distance from the meter to the inverter as short as possible. So if you are facing any difficulty to have a stable communication, we would also suggest you to put a termination resistor at the end of the communication line to improve the communication quality via RS485 system. Hope this answer your questions. Hi, does the EasyLogger support third-party Modbus devices like meter? Yeah. This question from Mr. Amin Jabba. To answer your question, yes, our system does support third-party Modbus RTU protocol for meter and weather sensor. So yeah, but we would need to integrate the profile to make it works. So we do support third-party Modbus RTU protocol, yes. So I think that is all from the ground. I hope I have your answer. Thank you for your questions, and I hope I have answered all your questions well, and able to help you further with using our solutions. So okay, so now we will come to our final session, the lucky draw. So yeah, thank you for staying with us until the end of the sessions. You will stand a chance to win the lucky draw. Our marketing colleague will share the winners name list to all audience via email, the winners. So please stay tuned and wait patiently for the result. So at the same time, please follow also our social media and to make sure that you will be participating in our next session and our next online activities. Thank you, and I wish everyone have a nice day, have a nice weekend, and stay safe. Thank you.